Welcome to Whatcha Makin, a podcast about sharing ideas, discussing the business of making, and connecting with the maker community. Your hosts are Alex Adams, an engineer turned furniture maker of Type A Furniture, and an alien pretending to be a DIY craftsman, Alex Duffey of Duffey Woodcraft. This is Whatcha Makin.
Hello, makers, and welcome to Whatcha Makin. This is a podcast where we talk all about what's on our bench, spotlight makers throughout the community, and remind you that today, January 21st, is National Squirrel Day Appreciation, Museum Selfie Day, and National One-Liner Day. Today's main topic is creating woodworking plans with a special guest, but more about them in just a moment. I'm Alex Duffey, and you can find me on Instagram and on YouTube at Duffey Woodcraft.
And I am Alex Adams. I'm currently powered by soup that was expired in 2023 and off-brand Dayquil. So we'll see how this goes. You can find me at Type A Furniture on Instagram.
Alex, do you have a good one-liner?
Usually I do, but there's nothing coming to the top of my head right now. So maybe once the cold medicine kicks in, I'll be a little bit more spicy.
My favorite one always is if nail it won't work, screw it.
Oh man, that's a good one. That's a good one. Well, if you like supporting this madness, you can go to patreon.com/Whatcha Makin show and join any of the wonderful tiers that we have there to keep this show rolling.
And for those watching, you already can see our special guest. But hey, Alex, do you want to give us a little intro here?
Who are you?
So our special guest, someone that I met at Workbench Con at 2025 is when we first crossed paths. And I am a big fan specifically of her designs that she makes. Probably the one that comes to mind the most is the planter box that she did, because it was a much different design than what your every other planter box was like. So I just love the things that she designs. She's super active on YouTube, and we would like to welcome Winnie from Standish WoodStory. Winnie, would you like to, after the applause, would you like to tell us a little bit more about yourself in your own words?
Sure, absolutely. Well, first off, thank you very much for having me on here. It's definitely a pleasure to be in the company of both of you this evening. And so as you mentioned, my name is Winnie. And I also like to say my last name because it's Standish, which leads into my company, which is Standish WoodStory. Which is both a company, but it is also a YouTube channel that I have been running since March of 2023. So I'm coming up on my 3-year YouTube anniversary, which is very exciting. It is a channel that primarily teaches woodworking to newer and I would say the weekend warrior woodworker. So not necessarily the experts out there, but someone who is newer into the hobby, the craft, the maker, whatever you want to call it. And what I do is I create plans from scratch and I film them and I put them out on YouTube and I show you how to do that step by step. And then as part of that, I also create the digital plans to go along with it. So if you want a copy, you can grab that right from my website as well. So yes, I do spend a lot of time designing, but I spend even more time in my wood shop, which I love. I'm very fortunate to have my shop right on my property. I live in Ontario, Canada. Not sure how many Canadians you guys have had on this show, but if you are wondering about my funny accent, it's not necessarily just Canadian because I was also born and raised in Denmark. So if you detect a little bit of a hint of something, then that is my Danish coming through. So yeah, so that's what I do. I spend a lot of time on YouTube filming, building, crafting, and really just anything that I learn on YouTube, I kind of just take it, I mix it with my own stuff, and then I spit it back out there so that hopefully as many people can understand it as possible. That's my goal, making it easy for people to understand woodworking.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and I appreciate that personally because I'm 1 year into my woodworking journey and very similar channel. Mine is CNC focused, but beginner CNC focused. And so I was going through some of your videos when Alex said we were going to have you on, and you do an amazing job for one. So I'm very excited to have you on. But I love I love that you do your projects and also have the plans on your site and plans available so that people can just grab them and start going right away. That's definitely something that I know I need to do better at with my projects. So I'm hands off to you on that. I think it's phenomenal.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, they're definitely.
I see you also do CNC. What kind of CNC do you have?
So I bit into the Shipoko brands, the Carbide Create, and I have the, what's it called? Not the most recent model. I want to say the 4 Pro. I forget the exact name of it right now, but it is a nice big machine, and I really enjoyed that. The Carbide Create interface is really easy, especially for beginners. I'm really happy because similar to, my own channel, they have their own step-by-step videos, but for CNC. So that's been really nice to follow along. But I'm going to have to check out your videos, Alex, because I didn't know that you were teaching CNC woodworking. So I will have to take a peek over there because I'm newer in that world myself. So,
Alex, you were going to say something. I cut you off. Sorry.
Let's see. Oh, now I remember. She's got some great production value on her videos, just being very well made. And you churn out generally about one a month, right? Roughly is typically.
So it's always the goal to have 2. I would say on average it's been about 1.5 per month. I ended up doing 17 videos this last year, which was less than my previous year, but I really started to really try to up my own projects, but also my video production. So this last year and even leading into this new year, my goal really has been to increase my video quality, my sound quality, literally everything to kind of get to that next level. Because I also really enjoy the film making process of it. So as much as I love the woodworking, I actually also like that part. So I'm trying to kind of combine the 2 mediums and make it even more fun to be in the shop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my first year I did 2 weeks or 2 videos a month, and I was burnt out by the end of it. So I'm in the same way now. I'm more of a definitely once a month. I'm trying to shoot for that 1.5 a month, but yeah, that first year it was torture of doing it, and then especially at the beginning, getting such a little return on it. So.
It's amazing how much work goes into every single video, because it's easy for us to consume all these videos, and we see so many amazing makers both on YouTube and Instagram, and they make it look so easy. But the reality is that so many hours goes into it. Everything from obviously building the project, but the filming, but then there's the behind the scene editing too. And I don't know if you guys outsource it or do it yourself, but I do it myself, and man, that takes a long time too.
Yeah, I'm Adobe Premiere, so that's what I do.
Same.
Yeah, I've yet to do a whole lot on YouTube, mainly because of the editing portion. Like, I have lots of good video. I just not super well versed in that process of editing, because it's a lot of stuff to ingest because of just the pure amount of video, and then cutting stuff down is so difficult because it's but this is important and this is important and that's important. So it's tough to get it down to the essentials without drowning out the audience members who are watching. So yeah, editing is tough. And
you never know what kind of audience you're going to have. You're going to have the ones that enjoy an 8-minute video, and then you're going to have the ones who are happy to watch a 2-hour video. And you can't please everyone. So at the end of the day, I think it's always just about making the content that makes sense, put in what you feel is valuable, and then someone's always going to complain, but other people will be happy. So, and that's who we do it for, right? The people who are thankful.
What complaints in the YouTube comments? Never.
Yeah, no, never. Well, and you mentioned the video length, and I was looking at your videos and going, you do have a good mix of 20 to 30 minute and then 8-minute. Have you found success on either one, or are they about equal?
I would say it's about equal. One thing that I've been trying to do is mix really beginner friendly projects, and they usually end up being the shorter ones because they are very simple. Right. Or actually, I shouldn't say that, because sometimes I have to go into a lot of detail, so then they do end up being a little bit longer. But I find that with the projects that I make, I have to be careful about, I can't just do super seasoned project. I have to kind of mix it with some beginner friendly ones and then some more intermediate projects, because I've been doing this for 3 years now, so my skills are growing too. So I don't want to make the super easy, simple projects all the same time either. I will get bored too if I keep doing that. So I kind of have to both, I have to increase my own skills, but I also kind of have to train my audience to follow along with that. But as new people continue to find my stuff, I have to keep balancing it with putting out some of those beginner friendly, which is usually the shorter videos.
Yeah. I recently have been transitioning into the longer 20-minute, 30-minute videos, and it's definitely been it is a lot more work, which is why I've been doing that once a month. But I was curious now that you've been doing it for a while. But well, I could talk about this all day. We should move on to our first segment, which
What you doing?
there's the audio. So this week on Whatcha Makin, in my shop, I have finally started getting back into the shop after my Lego January time off here, which Lego January is still going on. I'm still doing stuff, but I need to start making some things because I have my first Market of 26 is coming up at the end of the month, Sasquatch Fest. So I've started making my figurines, my themed trays, and other Sasquatch related items. I also bought a 3D printer this past weekend, which if you listen to this last episode, I was getting rid of my Ender because I hate it. It's never worked well. And after listening to Alex talk about all his successes, I've decided I went with a Bambu, and it is just so nice. It's so nice. It's basically been printing nonstop since I got it, and I've only had one failure, and it was definitely because I had my greasy little grubby fingers on the thing and it needed to be cleaned. But yeah, it's phenomenal. So I've been printing a whole bunch of planter pots. My wife wants planter pots. I've been printing for family and friends in Minneapolis some anti-ice whistles and just a whole bunch of other random. I made this, as I drop it, magnetic little UFO.
That one's fun.
As well, yeah, it's a nice print, multicolor.
And here's how the discussion went with Alex when he told me, he's like, I think I'm going to get a PONS. Do you have any recommendations? Like, well, it kind of depends on, the stuff that you want to make out of it. He didn't respond, and then he's like, I just bought the PONS. I'm like, you know what? That's good. So I was trying to provide some input, but he was just so excited that he just dove in and went with it.
I've heard from you, on the show constantly about it, but I also have a local friend who's got one. So when I texted you, I also texted him, and he's like, I think he goes, I can't remember the last time I had a print fail. And I know he prints constantly. And I'm like, that sentence alone was like, well, damn, okay, I think I'm going to have to do this. And so, yeah, it was so nice. And then I had trouble with it arriving because Best Buy was like, we'll get it to you tomorrow because it wasn't in any stores. And then it was out for delivery. And then I got an update that said driver emergency, no longer out for delivery. And I'm like, oh, okay, what does that mean? So I obviously hope the driver's fine. But I messaged support, and they're like, oh, yeah, the driver still has your product, but he hasn't returned to the warehouse since yesterday.
Sounds a little ominous.
Right? So we don't know if where your product is. I'm like, can you ship me another one? Well, we should have the other one back first. I'm like, but I don't have it. So they finally shipped it to me, but it took a couple of days. But I was just like, it's like, not my fault if the driver saw, ooh, printer, I'm keeping that. Who knows? But that's what I've been working on. Winnie, what have you been doing in your shop this week?
So I am in the middle of a reset month. So January is my month for getting my shop back up and running because I am very, very good at ignoring all the things that actually needs proper maintenance throughout the year. And then I'll just be so frustrated with it that I finally have to take the time to do it in January. But this time I was smart and I actually made a video about it at the same time. So if you haven't seen it, then it is out on YouTube as of this past Saturday here. And some of the things that I got into was my router lift. It had been stuck forever. When you have to kind of crank up the wheels, it just wouldn't do it. And I figured it was just stuck with sawdust or whatever, but it needed to be pulled out and the gears needed to be fully cleaned and oiled and all that. And guess what? It took me 15 minutes and it's working beautiful now. So it's I need to do this more often. I need to set aside time to do these things. But yeah, so that's kind of what I spent my time on the last 2 weeks in the shop. I also got a 3D printer just about maybe 2 months ago. Black Friday sale for me, and I have been loving it as well. Same thing, Bambu, and can't say anything but good things about it because that thing is freaking amazing. And similar to you, Alex, it's going nonstop. So it's been fun. I can't imagine. I can't believe how many jigs you can make for woodworking.
Yes.
Like, it is amazing. So like for that alone, like any woodworker needs to invest in one of these and stop buying crap on Amazon. Just make your own stuff. So that's worth the investment.
You already designed something and printed, right?
Stuff for it too.
I sure did. Yeah, absolutely. So I got my first product out. I designed a DeWalt dust hose that kind of goes out to the side. So if either of you have those planers, the hose was driving me nuts. It was always getting in the way. So I'm like, I printed that out and it's on my website and ready for sale. So
yeah,
that's
so
awesome though. Taking it from that step from just consuming it. Now you've designed something. That's really cool.
What did you end up designing it in? What software?
I like to use Fusion. Fusion 360 is my go-to for both furniture and for CAD. But I will admit the whole CAD part is something that I had to up my skills on. So I've been doing like the YouTube lessons. There's a couple on there. There's like the 30-day lessons. So I've been sitting through those and learning. And I just needed to do it because it's one of those things where when you're struggling through the program, it just takes forever to do, right? Versus when you actually learn it, it's like a 2-minute thing. So yeah, that was part of my New Year's resolution as well.
Nice. Alex, how's your shopping going?
I have been super busy because I have been between the walnut dining table project and the cherry serving tray projects because I can't remember if I had mentioned it, but like the cherry serving tray project, that one, the deadline on that one got moved up on me by like 3 weeks. So I was like, oh, I need to like get this going because it was originally going to be like the first week of February. So I'm trying to keep that in line because all of that stuff I need to have done by Saturday. So I had already so I had sanded the first batch of those because I did half of it as initial batch. Because I think when I had talked last, I think I had put the faux live edge on them. So I got them fully sanded. I got them handed off. So then since this is for like a corporate gift person who is giving like the end product, they're doing the laser engraving on this one. So I handed off that first batch for them to start laser engraving. And then I started working on the second batch of the serving trays. So then they've got something to constantly run in their laser while I'm still doing other stuff. Because that's the one step that takes a little bit more time. And I want to keep that stuff going and get that done in case he has his laser go offline, because that's happened before. So I got the second batch all like milled up, cut to size. And so I just started sanding those ones. So the nice thing is because I can batch it, I've had my like little system with sanding where I have like all of the boards that need sanding like on the left side of the bench. I've got my spot in the center where I'm currently working on whichever sanding step that I'm doing. And then my like out box like on the right side. And I'm sure some people hate me for it, but because I've got two sanding setups with dust extractors, I've got one grit on one side with one Rotex sander, and then on the other side I've got another grit on the right side with the other Rotex sander. So I've been
That's fancy.
Yeah, it's
ridiculous.
I'd originally gotten the two set up because I was going to have a second location where I was going to be doing stuff, but then when that didn't come to fruition, they're just there together, which is really nice because it's come in clutch for like when I was doing the refinishing those 27 church pews, where I could have like one sander hooked up for doing certain stuff and then a different sander set up for other things. So it's come in clutch several times. So it's definitely really nice to have that set up and minimize the amount of downtime for like shuffling between grits and stuff like that. So I've been batching that stuff out, and then I've got my like TV that's behind the bench where I've got whatever show or movie going on while I'm standing to keep myself occupied as I'm going through and doing that. So it's a very zen experience for me to do that sanding and then just being able to watch something on the background. So that's a lot of what I have been doing. So by the next time that we record, all of that stuff will be done, finished, shipped out, and I'll be done with that. But on the other side of things with that walnut dining table, so where I was with that one, because I had to like switch between those two, and because there's so much material between these two, like putting one like on the shelf so I can work on another, and then I had to on this walnut dining table. The last time I had met with the customer, we had picked basically which sides of these boards would be like the top show surface. Since it was from the walnut tree in their backyard, like the sentimental value, like there's a really good figure in this thing because there was lots of curl. We had iron staining from several nails, as well as a little bit of ambrosia in a couple of boards as well. So there's a lot of great figure in this table. And so I had been working on getting everything like cut to width, because there's a little bit of that wiggle room on like, I want to include this little bit of figure on this side, but not that stuff. So it's like, they love the knots. They like the figure. They're okay with some of the sapwood, but, not going too overboard with it. And so I had gotten those all milled down to like the same thickness. I got everything straight line ripped, down to width. And then I had the customer over who is also my neighbor, to basically like rearrange these boards and figure out like which ones we want to have by other ones because we want to balance out the figure and everything like that. So it was difficult because I need to remind people that this is like it's 4 foot wide, and with all of the leaves it's 11 feet long. So this is a freaking huge table. And my bench is only 8 foot long and like what is it, like 36 inches wide. So what I did was with my bench, I've got a lot of extra of that foam insulation board that I use with my track saw. And so I laid that from my bench over to the extension on my miter saw station to get that like extra length. So I'm like overhanging this foam board so we have the room to like move these boards around and back and forth. And so, we did a little bit of like flipping them around and moving them and pairing stuff up and getting like the balancing out all of the iron staining and the knots and everything like that. So it's not like too busy on one side versus like plain on the other. So we did get through and we got everything in the spot where we wanted. And then I made sure to mark with chalk each board like numerically in order, and then did my kind of like diagonal line to also match up. So then when I put it together, it should match up. And then I did a quick just like video to myself of reminding me like, this is the setup. Here's these. Consider we talked about keeping this figure in and moving this over to make sure that like sideways wise, I'm including everything that we wanted. So it was a lot of fun because she is so excited about it. So she was overjoyed with just seeing stuff progressing, coming forward. It's been a little bit slower than we've wanted, but there have been a few hurdles along the way. Because like I had mentioned, we had nails in it because of iron staining. And, I had to dig out those nails on some of those. And when I was milling for thickness, I spotted a portion of another nail that was in one of the holes because as it was coming out through the planer. And as I'm, looking and grabbing the end of the board to support it, I just see this like little glimmer inside of one of the drilled out holes that I had. I'm like, oh, I don't think that's burnishing. I think that might be a little bit of metal. So I had to like dig in and then pull out a portion of another nail. Fortunately, I did not have any nicked blades because of nails or anything like that. I mean, fortunately, they're carbide inserts. They'd probably be okay. I was more concerned about shavings from the nails because as you drill in, sometimes you peel off just a little bit of that nail and then it's stuck inside that hole that you have there. So fortunately, no major issues with that. So I do have, because the next thing that I need to do with it is there's a couple of boards that had a knot in them where the crack was going, not the full length of the board, but if I would have cut it to width, it would have spanned the width of that board, and you essentially would have broken apart. So I need to do an epoxy pour on those first to keep them together before cutting those ones to width. So I have 2 boards that I need to do that next. So once I'm done with all of the serving trays and I forgot to mention that I still have to turn the barbecue set handles as well for that corporate order. But once I'm completely done with that corporate order, then I can get back to this table and just have it be my entire focus. So much stuff going on, especially since that deadline got moved up on me. I'm like,
and it's only January.
Yeah, well, these are some. I mean, the table one has been more of a long-standing project since it was from the tree that was in their backyard with like the drawing and other stuff. So this is a project that's been going on for a little while. But yeah, the January one, that one threw me for a loop because it's twice as many serving trays as I had to do last year, I think, if I remember correctly, but fewer barbecue sets, which the barbecue sets, I was hoping they didn't come back because they were like the hardware was a little bit of a pain in the butt to deal with, to screw in and get glued down and everything like that. It was,
that's when you start raising your prices so that they don't come back.
Yeah, we'll see on that one. I need to, because I know what I'm going to do in the future is I'm going to have some of these blanks just ready to go just because it'll save me time, because I'll basically get to that like 80% done where it's all sanded and finished and basically ready to be lasered. And then if they order a bunch of them, then I've got something on hand, because it's like it doesn't take a whole lot of space compared to a lot of the other stuff that I build. It's like super huge. It's not like having another one of these dining tables made out of walnut that's going to be 11 feet long hanging out in the inventory. So yeah, that's what I've got going on. So I might have a couple of all-nighters coming up depending on how well I progress through these serving trays.
Exciting.
Fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it.
So that's been what's going on well. Winnie, what has not gone well in your shop recently?
Ooh, well, I feel like because I'm tackling all the things that are already not going well, throughout the year here. The one thing that I was not able to solve was I have this annoying thing on my Laguna bandsaw. It's one of those ones that has the foot pedal, and it has not been working for a while now, and probably much longer than I should have let it go on. But I finally figured out, okay, well, I'm going to tackle it. So again, part of it, like I opened it up, I took a look at it, and I started pulling things apart. I was talking to, AI to figure out what advice it would give me for where to start fixing it and all that kind of stuff. And I'm pretty sure I'm missing a screw that's just gone missing. So part of the issue, I think, is actually related to just a screw that I need. But I did just buy like a generic one that I thought would fix the issue, and it's not working. So I had to reach out to Laguna. I just got a reply this evening, but they didn't really tell me anything that seemed like it was going to solve my issue in terms of what I've already tried. So I don't know. I don't know what to do. I don't really want to spend money on getting someone to actually come out and fix it because it's not under warranty, and it's not like I can't use it, but it's just nice to have it. It's a nice safety feature, but I don't know. I guess I got to just spend more time on it. But that's what's not working right now.
Yeah, because you had that as part of your video where you were doing all of those things that you were trying to fix, and because I saw that you had tried to replace the screw and still hadn't got to it. So it's just mind-boggling to me that the screw isn't in that bottom portion of that bandsaw. Just must have gotten sucked up by the dust collector or something.
I know, and I really do think that at some point I saw something laying on my floor and I was like, where did this come from, right? And usually I have a little spot where I put stuff like that, but of course it's not there. So it's like, I don't know. But it just looks like a standard little hex screw at a certain size. I bought it, but it's not working. So I don't know. There's got to be something else going on. That's where I need like a proper like mechanic in my life to help me out with those kind of things, because I don't have the patience for it. But I think I'm going to have to, if I want to continue to use this the way it's supposed to, then I'll have to take the time. So,
Alex, what's not been working in your shop?
So with all of those walnut boards that I was planing down to thickness, because these guys are about 4 feet long, and I've got a weird setup in my basement with like where the HVAC is, because I share that in my my space in my main shop that I am in, and the spot where the bandsaw is, like maneuvering stuff around was kind of a little bit wonky, and I had a couple of dents on like the edges of these boards that I had gotten, because like one of them was because I had a couple of times, because normally what I do when I've got a lot of boards, because there's 22 boards in this thing because they're 6 inches wide, so that's how you get the 11 feet. So what I do is when I run stuff through, when I've got a lot of them like that, instead of setting them on the top of the planer, I set them like up against the HVAC unit. And so I had a couple of them because I had not cut to length yet. They had like a little bit, like kind of tilt sideways a little bit. And so a couple of them like slipped and like fell over and knocked on stuff. And then a couple of other ones, as I was maneuvering around, they like hit this adjustment knob that was on my bandsaw. So I had to whip out the iron and a little bit of water and a wet paper towel to get those dents to come back up. Fortunately, I still had a little bit, like, because you can get like almost all of that dent pushed back, but the one dent that I had, it was probably like the size of a quarter, and it was about maybe like a 1/4 inch down into the wood on the edge. Like it was a deep one, and I got that popped back out like 95% of where it was supposed to be, which was nice. Because it was kind of challenging because it was on the edge. I had to kind of like get the iron in the edge and kind of like press down in there, because if you just went over it flat, the heat wouldn't get all the way down in there to make that water expand and then pop that guy back out. So fortunately I got that one back through, and I still had a few passes left on the boards to make everything look fine. And then as I was planing, one of the challenging pieces of this is because of the live edge nature and me trying to squeeze every board I could get out of these. Like I am right up against like the live edge on some of these, and I needed to plane off more material on one side than the other in order to get like a little bit of this corner to fill out where it was overlapping with the live edge. And so I had a little bit of bowing on my boards as I was milling more on one side and then the other. So I have to be cognizant a lot on these boards because I need to remove more material on one side than the other, and so that can result in that board releasing or having tension released, and so it's starting to bow the other direction. So I had to pull out my straight edge to like check on some of these boards, like, all right, which direction am I bowing? I'll run it through on a couple more sides. So I run it through on the side that has the hump in the middle towards the planer and shave that off, and then it kind of comes back a little bit. So nothing like outrageous, but enough that you can see it on an edge. So that's why doing a lot of this stuff has taken a lot longer than normal, is because of the constraints of this. Because I even have some pictures where like we're talking the width of the pencil is like all of the margin that I had in order to get my full width on some of these boards. So like the amount of like Jenga Tetrising that I had to do with these boards to get every single one out of it was insane. So fortunately everything's like pretty well flat and no more dents, so we're good right now. So I'm still keeping my sanity.
That's good.
Nice. My shop, everything, again, really haven't started doing a ton, but with the printer is the only failure points I've had. Was I had one print fail, which is just because I got my greasy fingers all over the build plate, and I'm sure that was the reason, because cleaned it and did the same print, no changes, and it worked just fine.
So it was just an adhesion issue?
Yeah. After the first, I think it just peeled up off of the first layer. It was while I was doing the this guy here. These layers are separate, and this layer had come loose and had peeled, and it just went all over the place. And so,
did you make spaghetti?
I made spaghetti.
Yep, everyone's got their first spaghetti.
Which reminded me a lot of my Ender. Oh no, this is not my first. That's all the Ender does is make spaghetti.
For spaghetti on this printer, yeah.
Yeah.
Giving you trauma flashbacks, huh?
It was, but I was like, okay, I'll clean the build plate, see if it does it again, and it worked just fine. It was, and one of the very first things I printed was a poop chute for the back of the printer, just to get all the little printer poops and everything. So I mean, everything was working great. The one, and then the other one failure it has, it's not really its fault. It's, I think, the spool. So in the AMS, one of the filaments I have is a silver filament that I had gotten from Amazon. And it is a cardboard spool, not the plastic bamboo one. And it does not like to retract that one. It pulls it just fine and everything, but as soon as it starts to retract it, I think the cardboard isn't gripping enough on the little gripper pad, and it's spinning, or the motor is spinning, so it thinks it's retracted more than it really has, and so the filament is getting stuck up inside. So I think that's just a fault of it not being on a plastic spool. So
can you
just
change it over to one of the other ones?
Yeah, I was actually going to print another spool and do that. So
that's smart.
You can also, if you so choose, I had one cardboard spool that did that as well, and you can just put a little bit of duct tape on the edges if you want to, and that'll give it enough grip if you don't want to go through the steps of unspooling it onto another spool. But it's one of those things where it's like, do you want to put a Band-Aid on it, or do you want to actually fix it? So it just kind of depends on how ambitious you are that day.
Yeah, I need to print a couple spools anyway, so I have some for refills. So I'm like, I might as well just print a couple and call it good. So
you don't need to print spools, just buy more filament. And they'll come with spools and you'll be fine.
Yeah, but you can buy the bamboo refill for cheaper than the one that has the full spool on it.
Well, it's like $5, but like if you buy 10 rolls, then they give you a pretty good discount. So you just got to buy more.
It's like, so that's what I do when I buy filament. I basically save up a list of all the colors that I need and order them so that I get the quantity discounts. And the difference at that stage is like maybe like $1 per piece from the refill versus the actual spool. And then once you get to a certain stage, you've got enough spools for your colors that you're fine. Plus, you're using filament to make the spool, so you need to order more filament anyway. So,
well, I did when I ordered the printer, I went on Bamboo and they were having a discount when you bought 5 or more. And so I have like 10 spools coming from them. I'm just using the spools I had left over from when I was using the Ender. So it's all older stuff anyway. That I'm like, if it doesn't work well for a while, I don't care. So.
Yeah. And I can't remember, did you get the AMS2 on
yours? No, just the one that comes with the combo, the
original AMS?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The only gripe that I have about that one, because I have that on my P1S as well, is it does not like to do I can't remember what the phrase is for, but it's when you're doing like one print and you have another color that's identical in the AMS and it's supposed to switch over and use that one. It has been finicky at best for me on that AMS when it's supposed to switch over to that one. Like the AMS Lite that's on the Bambu A1 does it flawlessly every time, but the regular AMS, it seems to struggle with that. So I don't know if there's some, because I have the software setting set so that it should pull over, or it should pull in that extra spool that had, because like all of my stuff is typically Bamboo, so it's got the little RFID in there, so it knows exactly which filament it should have. So it should know, but for whatever reason, I'm not sure. So hopefully, maybe that's their incentive to get me to get an AMS2, which it has tempted me quite a bit, but we'll see.
I haven't had that issue yet. I have the same thing, but I usually just have to go in and click OK. Like it'll come and say it's run out, and I just have to click it. Like there's a little button that comes up on your phone, or depending on where you have it. It's supposed to do
like the auto refill, but like what I've gotten accustomed to doing is just knowing that that's gonna run out eventually and just pull in the other spool. So what I do, this is how I put a Band-Aid on it, is that usually I put the fullest rolls of filament in the AMS on my P1S, and then when they get low, I just take them out and put them on the A1s, since I know that those will do fine. So that's my way of avoiding the problem.
That's smart too.
Procrastination.
Whatever
Just
works.
buy more 3D printers. It's fine.
Yes.
All right. Well, for our regular listeners, we have a new segment for this week.
What's in the box? What's in the box?
Okay, that was horrible, but you know, it is what it is. So Alex and I both received boxes from one of our patrons. Thank you, Mr. Trash Panda, Jimmy.
Yes, thank you, Jimmy.
And we have waited to open these so that we could open them on air so Jimmy can see or hear our reaction. However, he wants to. I assume, Alex, you haven't opened yours yet either, right?
No. Ah, there's wood.
Can you see? Yes.
Lots of wood. Okay. All right, let's dig into
what do we
this a
got?
little bit more and see, because there's more than just wood.
Oh my god, that's a big heavy one. I've got a big chunk of what looks like white oak that's already somewhat pre-rounded. That's nice. He's so Jimmy is a wood turner, so he was sending us some wood turning things for Alex and I both to work on. I've got a pack of is Bobinga? Black palm. Not
Let's
Bobinga.
see.
It looks like a bunch of pin pieces.
Yeah, because I've got some purple heart, it looks like, and I think this is zebra wood, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, that's
I've got a
zebra.
zebra wood as well. So a whole bunch of stuff for making pens, and sure enough, he sent a whole bunch of hardware for making pens.
Oh, yeah. Let's see.
I've got a... Okay, so first of all, on the back it says Alex Part 1, I think.
What? Why do you get to be part 1?
I don't know. But... Can you see that? That is a panda
raccoon.
dancing on
That's
a
a
strip
raccoon
pole.
making her way through college.
Yes, it is. Trash panda on a strip pole. That's some pretty wavy oak or curly oak. It looks like. I've got
I'm
yellow
getting
heart.
some of the hardware. I don't know what it is, but I'm sure I'll eventually find out. Now I don't know what this. These are little multi. I can't see if I'm getting glare on my camera, but it's like different layers and different colors that are like
it plywood?
laminated.
Yeah,
I'm not
so
sure if
this
it's
is called
plywood.
this is called SpectraCore, SpecCore. Yeah, and it's different colors of plywood that has been glued up together. I've used some of this when wood turning in the past.
Okay.
That's really cool. Well, thank you, Jimmy, so much. And oh wow, a pen mandrel
wait.
and
I gotta see what else is in my. I gotta see if I have a fun drawing or something in mine.
we've got
trying to find all this
it looks like
stuff.
some pepper mill hardware. Lots of
Oh,
pen
yeah.
stuff. What's in the box?
Sorry, I'm trying to make my way through. I'm trying to set this stuff somewhere on my desk, but I already have a bunch of crap on my desk that I don't have space to put it.
Oh, and he sent a display box for a pen too. I assume he made this as well. That's really pretty.
Was that in a box or was it just loose in there?
That was in the white box.
Oh, the white box. Okay, I see that now. Okay, I won't open that since you already opened that. Because I swear, and my son does this all the time where he immediately gets something and he like opens it all up and then stuff gets lost. So that's why I try not to open up too much of what did I get right away. Okay, so
This is great audio podcasting, by the way, of just Alex and I rummaging through boxes. So I apologize to
clinking
the
stuff.
listeners here.
You'll have to describe
Anyway,
it as you
so-
open it.
What'd you say?
You'll have to describe it as you're opening it.
Yeah, lots of wood, lots of pen making stuff.
yeah, I'm trying to
so-
pen stuff.
Thank you so much, Trash Panda, aka Jimmy. And listeners, if you want to send us stuff, Alex and I will always take stuff. We'll always take more wood.
I'm jealous that you got the stripper raccoon. I didn't find anything.
It was just on a little piece of wood.
It was on one of the pieces of wood.
Yeah, it was just it looks like a scrap piece of wood. I know how he. he thinks,
wait. Oh, I found it. I did get a stripper raccoon.
Does yours say Alex Part 2 or Part 1 on the back?
Mine says Alex Part 2. I guess I know who the favorite is. Although I don't know if Jimmy has seen my reel from Workbench Con that I made. Speaking of stripper raccoon, of me and the money gun when I was in my tracksuit.
Yeah. People still talk about that.
Did I just bring back a nightmare from you?
No, when I was in Perrysburg visiting Next Wave, I was talking about you, and they went, "Wait, was that the guy running around in the very small tracksuit?" I'm like, yes, it was.
See, I was memorable.
Yes, you were.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man, I got to put all this stuff back in the box so I don't lose any of it. Okay.
So anyways, that was what's in the box. So now it's time for...
Somebody's watching me. It's my anxiety.
All right, so this week on What You Watching, I've got a couple here. We'll start off with just one and then move. So Winnie, what we'll do is I'll do one, then you and Alex and so on. So for my first one here is Forge Croco. I apologize if I'm saying that wrong, but Forge Corco. I think it's Forge Corco. Anyways, they made this. He is a 3D printing designer, and since I've been looking at 3D printing stuff, I've been watching a bunch of reels, and he just released his 6th 3D printed book. But the book opens up and is a playable board game.
I saw that. Yes, it was really cool.
Yeah, so the one he just did was the Hangman, and it had all like the little letters and stuff you could throw in there. It was really well done. But he's done Connect 4 and chess and a whole bunch of others. So they're all on my like printables list now to go and make, because I'm super excited to try them.
You got to make sure and get plenty of magnets for all of that stuff. I have a decent amount of magnets for some of these projects, but not nearly enough. So,
I've got with all the magnets I use in my game boards already for my CNC stuff. I've got thousands of magnets around the house. But that's my first one. Winnie, who would you like to shout out?
So my first one, his name is Sion Brock, and he is a YouTuber. And similar, I've been looking, down the 3D printing rabbit hole, but he invented this really, really cool vintage type radio that has an extra layer of awesomeness, because I guess he has an elderly dad that has some dementia, and he can't quite figure out how to use regular radios because they got too many buttons. So he wired it up so that essentially it has all these albums that are just on a loop, and all you have to do is press the button and it plays. And if you press it like twice, it will go to the next album. So it's like really, really simple for people to use, but the product itself just looks absolutely phenomenal. So if you haven't seen that video, definitely check it out. It's awesome.
And who was that again?
His name is Sion Brook. Sion Brock.
Perfect.
Okay, I'll have to look that
Alex,
one up.
what about you?
First one that I've got is from Margot Foster Studios. And they made this great little sliding box. I can't remember what it was specifically for. I think it's smaller than what you would get for like the wine box. So it's got that nice sliding motion. And then they did a little bit of marquetry to put a snail on there. So it looks really, really nice, because everyone knows that I love marquetry. So you can easily win me over by all sorts of cool marquetry projects. So that was really awesome. So that's the first one that I've got.
Nice. My next one is Fur and Bricks, FIR and Bricks. They are a Lego artist, and because it's Lego January for me, I've been, also seeing a ton of Lego stuff. And so if you didn't see the announcement this week, Lego has announced their partnership with Pokemon and is releasing their first Pokemon sets. They are god-awful expensive, and I will not buy them because they're way too expensive. I mean, the set that I would want, which is the 3 main evolutions, Charizard, Blastoise, Venusaur, is $650. It's just insane for a Lego set.
Well, because I think they're
So
only
anyway.
aren't they like 500 or 600 pieces for like each of those or something like that, which is like
No,
still pretty.
It's a big set. It's still
Okay.
it's a 3,000 piece set, so it is a big one. I mean,
Okay.
I just did the USS Enterprise, which was a $400 set, and that was that one was 2,500 pieces or so. So it is a little bit.
That's a lot of pieces because my son has been into the Harry Potter Lego scenery recently, so we've been going through some of those. But I love me some Pokemon because I remember going through and seeing on the shelves the like, I think it was like Mega Blocks or like one of the like lesser known brick companies that had Pokemon before. So I'm excited that Lego has it, but with the Lego price, of course.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So, anyways, Fur and Bricks, with the announcement of the Pokemon ones, posted. He does Lego art, and he makes these giant 16-inch by 20-inch or larger art wall hanging pieces, and they are all single brick. So think of 8-bit style, but single brick made up. And so he did these giant, basically Pokemon cards of the main 3 starters, and they're just gorgeous, but they're huge. And so like I think these ones were 24 by 36, the big ones he did. So go check them out if you're interested in Legos and Pokemon.
Cool. Well, I have to say that I am always interested in Lego because I'm sure you already know this, but Lego is Danish. So I grew up with Lego and, it's in my blood. So very good project. And do you know what Lego actually means?
I used to know what it means, but I forgot.
I remember from the documentary, but I haven't.
The documentary.
Been a while.
So I'm going to say it in Danish first. It's leg godt, which means play well.
Play well.
So there you go. So for my second one, I have a content creator. He's both on Instagram and on YouTube. I primarily follow him on YouTube because he is mostly long form content, and his channel's name is Late Night Woodworking. And he's this really young guy who's got this really cool cinematic style, and he just does woodworking projects out of I think it's his parents' garage, actually. I think he still lives at home. But he recently made this really cool whiskey cabinet out of walnut, and just watching his process and, recognizing how young this guy is and how far he's come, it's just inspiring. So if you guys are looking to make a whiskey cabinet, I would say check his stuff out because it was beautiful.
I've actually seen that video and I was thoroughly impressed. I've subscribed to his channel a little while ago, and it's amazing work.
All right. Next one that I have is Pink Soul Studios. So she had a recent reel where she showed her making the couple of these display tables in like I can't remember if it was oak and then it was like a darker finish on there that had that like deeper brown color for those display tables in Chicago at the National Museum of Mexican Art, which is just like, that's just so cool to say, like, that you like made some of the like display stands and tables that are in an art museum. So that's awesome, because I was like, oh my gosh, that is awesome to have that project in there. And I mean, I would 100% take my son into a place if I'm like, I made those. So I mean, I'd be so proud of stuff like that. So hats off to her. That's awesome.
Cool.
Awesome. My last one is from another maker making Lego things. So this is Jack the creator, is actually a clay sculpture person. And they made a really cool, probably about a 3-foot tall Lego man out of clay. But so in the video, he starts by making the Lego person and then slowly like breaks it apart and remakes it. And it's as if like this gooey horror creature is coming out of the Lego itself. And he airbrushed paints it at the end. It was gorgeous, but terrifying. So Jack the creator on Instagram, you'll see that reel. It's really cool, but kind of terrifying at the same time.
Very neat. My next one is, I think he's a bigger guy, but I just never found him before. His name is Alexander Chappell. He's Norwegian, and he is more, I would say, a maker and an inventor kind of person. But because I've gotten into the 3D printing now, he does a lot of 3D printing. And he made these really, really cool, colorful cabinets for all of his little mini trinkets. And he color coded the whole thing. And of course, he printed everything using his 3D printer. But what really impressed me was that every single time he built one of these cabinets, he made a specific jig for everything he made. So it's kind of like making me think outside of the box of everything I make from here on in. I need to think, how can I improve this with a jig? And usually I would make it out of wood, but now I think it's going to be all 3D printing from here on in. So that was really impressive.
That's awesome. Next one that I have is from Lood_studio. That's LOOD is how they spell that one. So I had talked about some of their stuff before, where they have some of their pieces where they essentially make a cut and then they like steam bend back a portion of it to kind of give that curved look to it. And they had a reel where they showed a bunch of the like failed pieces where like the bend had snapped or broken. And so it was just really cool to see the because sometimes we don't see under the hood of that process of when you're trying to do stuff, the failure that comes on the way to get to that design and perfect it. So it was just really interesting to see, because I know that I learn a lot by seeing how things don't go right sometimes, because you're like, oh, okay, so that's how I should avoid, X issue that they have with that. So I thought that was just interesting. And of course, it was also heartbreaking to see them burn a lot of the projects that they had worked so hard on, which is, it's probably therapeutic to see that stuff go away, so you don't have to remind yourself of it. But yeah, that was really interesting to see.
Very neat.
Nice. I didn't have any more. If you guys have any more.
I do have more. Winnie, do you have any?
Yeah, well, my list kind of goes on, but I'll do one more then. So K&A Wooden Creations, she's on Instagram. This is a girl who kind of is zoned in on her own craft, which is making shelves. And it's funny because I don't need a shelf for my fireplace, but her content is really interesting and really engaging. And I always love when I find someone and then I kind of see how they progress on their channels too. And it's inspiring for myself to show up more and just kind of be on either platform a little bit more and see what they're doing. But she just does these really, really cool mantles for fireplaces. So if you need one, she's apparently the go-to girl to get one from. She makes them and delivers them. And so I would say check her out. It's awesome stuff.
Cool. Next one that I have is from Noisy Wren Woodworking WV, I'm assuming is for West Virginia. So they made just this kind of classic stool. I think it's based off of the Lost Art Press, one of their staked stools that they have, where you stake in the stool pieces, and then you have a wedge to get those pieces in there permanently. But what was really cool about this one is that they did a carving in the seat, which is it was just kind of like a geometric triangle type shape. So, but it was just really, really well done and very nice. So I don't know what style it was, if it was like Celtic or something like that, but it was just really nice to see that like they put their own touch onto that type of piece. All right, so the last one that I have is probably my favorite of all of these. So it's from Shallow Creek Woodcraft, and she made this absolutely amazing freshwater tackle box out of sapele. And it is like, I don't know if I've ever seen someone make a tackle box out of wood before, but it is just so elegant and well thought out. And so I think she had done it as a commission for someone, and just seeing because I think I'm accustomed to fly fishing, so that's where my mind goes when it comes to fishing gear. But they had these different spots where they could hang larger lures from, and it was just so well thought out and well designed, and it's just so beautiful. So definitely take a look at this, because it is just amazing. So hats off to her, because I never would have thought of even making something remotely as awesome as that.
Yeah, that sounds like a really cool project.
That's awesome.
There are only 4 rules you need to remember. Make the plan, execute the plan, expect the plan to go off the rails, throw away the plan.
All right, so this week's main woodworking topic is about creating woodworking plans, which is perfect because Winnie creates woodworking plans.
That's right.
So, yeah. So Winnie, tell us a little bit how you. First of all, how did you get started in deciding you wanted to make plans when you made your videos and so on?
I think it was a little bit out of necessity too, because I have been in an industry prior to woodworking where it was very much like it was a customer service business, not related to woodworking at all. But I knew that I didn't want to have physical products, and I knew that I didn't want to deal with a lot of customers in front of me. So if I was going to make YouTube my main source of income, I knew that it certainly wasn't going to be from monetization, which is great. I am monetized today, and I have been for a couple of years, but let's be honest here, it does not pay the bills, at least not at my level, maybe later on. So something had to go hand in hand with that I could get easily out to people. So digital plans made sense. So if I was going to take the time to create it, then I had to kind of make it into a forum where anyone could access it. And that's where the digital plans came about. So that's the whole reason that I started it. It was basically out of a way to build a business.
Mm-hmm. And then you had alluded to earlier that a lot of your stuff is for the beginner woodworker.
That's right.
So do you have, because through all those plans, are most of them made for just beginning woodworking? But because you had mentioned a little bit where you had said that you've had some that you've made that are made for someone who has a little bit more experience and a skill set. Are you still focusing on the beginner, or have you expanded since then?
It's a happy medium, or a mix, I would say now. If you go on my website, you'll see that some of the plans now have intermediate added to them. So I do try to kind of differentiate if it is a very beginner project versus something that you might need a little bit more experience in. But really, I would say anyone who was willing to also see the accompanying video, regardless of their level, would be able to figure it out. It's just more of a matter of tools, right? Sometimes, people see my shop and they're like, oh, you have all the fancy tools. I can't do this. I'm just a beginner woodworker. But as we all know, you can do the same thing with a lot less tools. You just have to think outside of the box. So that's where I sometimes try to say, okay, if it is something that I know is going to require a lot of like plating and jointing and specialty kind of woodworking tools, CNC even, then I'll call it an intermediate project. But no, I try to design for both, really.
Well, and I like that you do that. Like when I was looking at your website, one of the plans I saw on here, and I was very quickly trying to pull it back up here, was one of them that you had it in multiple different ways. You could do it in your CNC, you could do it with a bandsaw or a table saw and stuff. You had multiple options, and I think that's really important because of that, exactly that comment of not everybody has a CNC or not everybody has, a bandsaw and so on. So I thought that was really good of you to do that and planning ahead for that.
Yeah, thank you. It's definitely great when you can do it. Unfortunately, time constraints sometimes limits that. So that's where I have to kind of pick and choose whether it makes sense or not. But I think that one you were looking at was most likely the plant stand one, where it's 3 different designs. They vary slightly, but more or less you end up with the same idea. Like you end up with a plant stand. It just looks slightly different depending on what tools you have. And I think it's also just nice that if someone buys the plans that, they don't necessarily get excluded from doing the other things. Hopefully they just get inspired to do the other projects, and maybe that will encourage them to, buy a used bandsaw because all of a sudden they want to actually make something that they now see in the plans, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. With your plans, what are your plans like? I should say, are they a step-by-step? Are they just like a simple overview? How do you create yours?
They are step-by-step. So they are in PDF format, and every single step has a picture associated with it as well. And if schematics needs to be included, then I add those as well. So I will take, for example, screenshots from Fusion 360, or I will design stuff in Illustrator, or now I'll even use AI to my advantage, because that was definitely not a tool that I had 3 years ago, but that is making things a lot simpler now. So for me to kind of translate that to someone who might not know a lot about woodworking, it's now a lot simpler if I can add more schematics. So I try to make it extremely visual, which is why there's always the accompanying YouTube video to go along with it as well. So my hope is always that people watch it, but also have the plans next to them, so that they kind of get the main overview and they have a couple things that they can zone in on if something is tricky, but that they still have the digital plans where they can kind of see the measurements and all that kind of little nitty gritty stuff. That's still important, but that kind of gets a little boring in a video after a while if you keep naming numbers and board feet and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah. And then how would you say the support and the questions, how much does that play into your involvement and time supporting those? Because obviously you're going to have people that have questions. So what's that experience like for you on supporting those?
It's been simple, pleasantly. Funny enough, my main support question is always, how do I unzip this zip file? Which is kind of funny because it doesn't actually have anything to do with the plans at all. I think it also just shows a little bit about who my audience is. I know that I have a lot of men that are 60 plus that download my files. So I try to kind of make it as friendly computer-wise for them as possible. But I can't do anything about the zip files. Like, that's just the only way I can get these huge files into this little box that ends up in their email inbox, right? But other than that, no, people have been really nice. It's very few emails that I get for people following up on stuff and having questions. I think that's really just because the video is there, and often there'll be stuff down in the comments as well. But the ones that do email me, I absolutely respond to every single one of them. So it has not gotten to the point where I can't handle that. And most of the time, it's really just people who are emailing me after the fact and showing me their work, which is amazing, because it's always a lot of fun to see when someone else builds your plans and that they're excited about it and that they want to share it. So I love that. That's my favorite part.
Wonderful. So for these projects, where do you find the inspiration source for this? Do you say, I think this is what my customers would want? Or do you kind of take the other route where you're like, I need this, so I'm going to build it and then put plans out there? What kind of direction do you find yourself going in?
Yeah, it's very much about me and I, meaning that if I'm not excited about it, then it's not going to be an exciting video or a digital file. Because if I don't have the passion for it, I think unfortunately that's just going to show. I can't fake it. So I have to be excited about the project, which is, you mentioned my planter box earlier in the show. And I've done a couple of planter boxes over the years. And it's kind of a funny thing, because like every spring, people are looking for planter boxes. And I know it's a great video to put out there. People are always looking for it. But there was no way I could build the same freaking boring planter box all over again. So that was kind of like my challenge to myself. I'm like, I got to do something that's a very different. So I ended up building this like arched planter box that had like a million little pieces that were all kind of tapered on each edge. Took forever. It was lots of fun. I learned a ton. And it is a digital plan. I can't say it's my most successful one, because I do think that it requires a little bit more patience from people. But the video did great. And I think people just appreciated that it was something that I put my energy and passion into. So for that alone, I would call it a success. But yeah, 100%, I need to find the inspiration and be excited about it. Otherwise, it's not going to turn into a project.
Yeah. And it looks like on your website, you've got a few templates that you make as well for like routing templates and other things. And because do you have, for many of your projects, on top of the files, like supporting, because I know there's a lot of people who have the routing templates for certain shapes that they offer. If say they don't have a CNC, it's like, okay, you can do it off of this profile. What type of accessories do you kind of tack on to those plans, or are they more standalone templates?
I would say they're standalone for each project. But it is a lot of router templates that I end up doing, because again, not everyone has a CNC, but I would say probably 90% of people who do woodworking, they probably have a handheld router. So a router template is a great alternative. So whenever I can, I do try to make an accompanying router template because it's also great business sense, because it's a product that I can sell. So that's kind of the only products that I've gotten into. Because it's quick for me to cut. I have a laser in my shop, and I cut them and I ship them and I send them out. And it's been manageable in the sense that I'm not like a high volume business, but I think it's equally as people who just want to support me and the channel in general, they'll go on and they'll buy those from me versus buying them from someone else. And, you know, I stand behind my quality. So if anything goes wrong, then of course, they also know that I'm a person that they can reach out to and get a good response. So it's been really good. I can't say that the U.S. market has been the greatest since maybe about a year ago now when the new tariffs came into place. But, you know, if there's any Canadians who want to buy some stuff, then I have a great shop.
We've got a few Australian listeners, so maybe you can get some international shipping there as well.
Absolutely. And you know what? I say that, but it's actually funny because I have to say I'm very thankful because many Americans are still buying my plants despite the tariffs and all that. So I'm very thankful for the support that I'm still getting. So despite all the silliness, it's still great.
Are you having to charge tariffs on digital plans?
Oh, yes. Well, no, not on digital plans. That is off the list. So yeah, no, not that. Only for physical products that are crossing the border. So yeah, not yet for digital. So, but who knows what the future brings.
I know. Like, do you sell more, or do you sell off of your website too? Do you sell on like Etsy or something for your plans?
I sell both on my website and on Etsy, primarily just because Etsy is a completely different market, and it exposes me to people that I wouldn't have found otherwise. And then my website ends up being primarily the traffic that comes through YouTube and Instagram.
Yep.
So
I find the same.
So what's the split between Etsy versus your website? Is it kind of like 50-50, 60-40?
It's changed. I would say in the beginning it was mostly Etsy, but now as my channel has grown, I would say it's probably more 70% from my website and 30% from Etsy. And again, part of it is also because of the tariff stuff that came into effect. And Etsy is not the easiest platform to ship through. They added a couple things. I have to do a couple extra steps. So I have to say my own want to sell on Etsy is decreasing just because each order takes me a little bit longer than it would just off of my website. So,
well, and if you can get it from your website, that's phenomenal because that just helps you significantly with margins. And obviously with you building your YouTube audience and being able to point them in that direction, that's just a great way to get traffic there. Because you also have a Patreon as well, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So tell us a little bit more about how that factors into the products and how that kind of intertwines with YouTube as well.
Yeah, actually, that was all because of Workbench Con last year when we were there. I thought that Patron had to be for just people who had thousands of followers. And I was like, I'm not going to do that. This is who's going to come on here and support little old me here. But, you know, I heard a couple of the talks at the conference and they said, no, start it now. Like, who cares if you have one person on there? Like, if people are willing to support you, they should have the opportunities to support you. So I started it right after. So that would have been, I guess, at the end of February last year. So yeah, coming up on almost a year now. And like today I think it's over 100 people who are just following me on there, which is great. And then I have about a dozen who are paid subscribers. But to me, that's phenomenal that someone is actually willing to pay me just because of the content that I put out, asking nothing in return, essentially. What I have done is I do offer a free plan every single month. So if you are one of my Patreon members, you can go on there and you can get a digital plan every single month as part of that. But very few people take advantage of it. So I know the people that are on there, it's because they want to support me. So I'm just very thankful for them and really just anyone who's been supporting my channel and my growth in general. It's amazing how many people that are out there in the world who just are willing to support good content. So I'm very thankful for that.
Oh, that's awesome.
I was just looking at your page. Yeah, no, it's funny. I agree with you completely. And for any of our listeners, I do recommend that as well. Go ahead and just start that. I put it off for the longest time and I started mine back in June. of this year, and I'm steadily growing on it too. And same thing with you. I never thought anybody would want to pay to support, but people do because they enjoy what you're putting out there. So, and thank you to our patrons.
Yes,
for this podcast.
We love our patrons as well.
Yeah, which we did just have. So we do our patron meetup every quarter. We do a patron digital call like this and chat with them. So that was really fun. I love those. Are actually, I think, my favorite thing about Patreon that we do, because you're directly talking with the people who are consuming your content, and so you get to ask a little bit of questions, but also it's just fun to hang out and get to know the people that you're talking to. Like Alex and I are talking to each other and are talking to you, but we don't necessarily know all the time who's listening. So it's nice to do that.
Oh yeah, it was definitely a riot. It was a wonderful time. I look forward to the next one that we have.
Mm-hmm. So I sell my CNC plans, and I do mine a little bit differently. So I don't do the walkthrough like you do. I sell an SVG file, and then I sell the Vectric file that actually I create all the tool paths. So literally somebody who buys one of my plans, they just have to load in their machine info and then just hit, go on in Vectric. I should do more plans. I haven't done more step-by-step plans like what you're talking about. And I feel like I should, because it comes down to, do I want to spend that much time doing it? Because I assume it takes, how long does it take to do a plan for you?
Like, I would say on average, it's probably anywhere from 8 to 15 hours, just between, usually my workflow is I'll do the video first, and then I'll have all the images from the video that I can export and add into the actual plan. So it's kind of like I do one thing and then I do the other thing at the same time. So it's hard to say exactly how long, but yeah, between, double checking all your measurements and making sure that it's understandable and actually triple checking everything. And then, even finding mistakes later on, and, someone might call it out, and then I got to go back and edit it because I don't want to have mistakes out in the plans if I know about them. So I also have to go back and do that again. So there's the uploading and all that good stuff. Yeah, it takes a while, but this is what I will say. So whatever you create as a digital product, it lives on forever. So one of my plans that I sold now 3 years ago is still selling today. And I have this Christmas tree plan. And it doesn't matter if it's December or if it's July, it still sells. People still buy it. And I think I've gone in maybe twice to update something very teeny, nothing major. And that one just keeps selling, and it's amazing. So yes, do you have to spend a lot of time up front? Do you know if it's going to sell? No, but if it does, then it's a once and done kind of deal, right? So that's the benefit of the digital product.
Well, and especially if you do a good job, like you were saying, of documenting it. Most of the time, a lot of the questions are fairly minimal. Because I mean, you talking about earlier the questions mostly being how to unzip the file. It really just, to me, that is a testament to how well it's documented, as well as how pairing the video with it helps so much. So that just kind of shows the level of detail is exactly what people need.
Yeah, and then one of the other things that I do too is that I have some free plans on my website. So anyone who's not necessarily willing to jump into my plans and pay, let's say it's $3 or $4, nothing crazy. It's like a very low end amount. But if you're not willing to do that, and if you're not quite sure what you're getting yourself into, you can download some of my free plans and then at least kind of see what kind of quality you're getting, so that when you are willing to pay that fee for the actual plan, you already have a good sense of what you're going to be getting, right? Because at the end of the day, there's a lot of stuff out there, and yeah, sure, it might only be a couple bucks, but is it going to go right down in the trash, or is it going to be something that you're actually going to use, right?
That's a great point. I might have to do that too. Follow that business plan.
Then you also get their email addresses at the same time. So if you do ask them for permission to email them, then you also have people on your mailing list.
Yep. Having that newsletter.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned about the Christmas tree. So when I was looking at your site, I was like, oh, I wonder if this is where I got that idea from. Because I make a Christmas tree too from a few years ago. I saw pretty much that exact image floating around the internet, and so I'm sure it came from you. But so I make a mini version of it for like the desktop, and I
Yeah.
put like a little Sasquatch in it, but it's that
Oh, that's
same
cool.
design that you've got up there. It's so funny
Well,
enough.
I
you know.
can't claim that the design is mine, because that one has definitely been around for a very long time. But one thing that I do pride myself on from that one is that a lot of people had a hard time figuring out the angles. So I did sit down and I worked out all the different angles to make it as simple as possible. And I made an accompanying jig to go along with it, to actually, so that you're able to kind of clamp those funny 30-degree angles as well. So I think that's how my plan was kind of a little bit different than some of the other ones earlier on. But the actual Christmas tree, I would say, has probably been around for the last 10 years. So I won't
But that's
claim that
awesome
one
though
as an
that you
original
figured out.
design.
Yeah, but that's awesome that you figured out a way to make it better and make it easier for people, and that's really important too. So that
That's
people
my
know that
goal.
when
Make
they,
it simple for
Yeah.
everyone to understand.
So we talked a lot of the woodworking plans, but you'd also alluded to the first 3 printed plan, I guess, file that you would put out there. What has been, I mean, because this is, gosh, how long ago did you put this out there? Was it days, weeks ago that this has been out there
the
when they
3D
get
print?
released? Yeah, with the planar elbow that goes on the
As of
DeWalt
Saturday.
735.
Saturday
Okay,
was
so
when
it's
the video was
super
released,
duper
and
fresh.
that's when it went online as well. So
What kind of what's kind of running through your head of like the differences between that versus your other plans? Are there anything that runs through your head where you're like, because it is a 3D print?
So there's no plans to go along with it. So it doesn't necessarily have that same maybe personal feel and touch. It's a product where, at least with my router templates, usually people will have downloaded the plans to go along with it. So yeah, it's a good question. I think for my own audience, it's going to be great because there's enough people who follow me who will, again, just know my quality and know that if they're buying it from me, it's going to be something that works, and that's going to be great. But yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking, is this going to be like a whole new area for my business? Am I going to start getting into the whole print farm situation that a lot of you guys are into as well? Because I think these 3D printers are a bit addictive, right? They once you get one, you're probably going to get 3 or 4 within a very short amount of time. I kind of thought that with the CNC as well. The CNC has not worked for me in that way. I love the CNC, but I use that one more as a tool versus it being like a mass production thing. But I think, again, that just goes back to the fact that I don't sell wooden products. Like, I don't sell anything that's done out of wood, other than, I occasionally I'll do a market here and there just to get rid of all the things that I've made, but I don't necessarily make it to sell. So I think that's great if that is your situation. But for me, it's been more of a tool versus a actual manufacturing product.
Yeah, as somebody who sells retail, like mine is running constantly for making little retail items, where I know, like Alex, you make furniture, so you'll probably use it more in that tool aspect to flatten things and so on. So
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's a great tool.
And then Winnie, I think you've posted a few times that your daughter has helped out with a couple of projects here and there. Has she gotten the bug of seeing you building stuff and started to enjoy it?
I feel like we inspire each other because my daughter is extremely creative as well, but she is definitely the more into everything cinematic and filming and content creation. So she's kind of one of the reasons that I am on YouTube to begin with, because she had her own YouTube channel earlier on. So she kind of got into it, and then I started getting into it. Or I should say, I wasn't scared of getting into it because I already kind of knew what she was doing. But she is just about to graduate high school. She's graduating at the end of May this year. So she's going to be going to a film college next year for a 1-year program. But after that, at the same time, she's applied to get into a couple of design programs here in Ontario because she's really into designing furniture and designing industrial items as well. So yes, I absolutely see her continuing in a similar path. It might not be quite the woodworking path, but something in the maker community 100%. She's very creative, and it's very fun to see her come into the shop and use all my tools. It's also very scary, as I'm sure for any of you who might have kids. It's like, it's hard to let go of your tools, but it's even harder when it's your kid and you're like, oh, don't lose your fingers. But
yeah.
she's very smart and she's very safe, and she's taking all the precautions that she possibly can with proper, safety gear. We actually built another project back in the Thanksgiving weekend that we had here, and I have all the footage and all that for it. But it's a little bit more convoluted than my usual style, so it's not finished yet, which is why that video hasn't launched. But I am hoping that in the near future it will launch, because she built this really cool table, a bedside table that she designed. And then she went out and she actually made it with a little bit of my help. And it's just really cool to see how the whole circle has now come along, where, I kind of started this, but she's definitely finishing it and continuing it. So it's very neat.
Oh, that's a lot of fun. I enjoy when my son takes an interest in some of the projects, because he's 9 years old right now. So he's still at that stage where, like you had said, making sure they don't lop off a finger or anything like that. You're very much trying to make sure that the operation fits with their current skill set, to make sure that they can do it and do it safely. So, but yeah, I get that excitement as well whenever he takes an interest in the shop, and I just jump right on it and be like, yep, we can do this project, because my son he's so interested in stuff. He's taken a lot more to the 3D printing just because he can go into it and he can find files. He's made a couple of things that we've designed together, which was a lot of fun. And so it's just the interesting things that he comes up with. And I'm sure your daughter, especially going that filmmaking and content creation route of just having that storytelling and just taking that into whichever medium she enjoys.
Yeah.
Because we see it all the time with various YouTube channels, where if someone is great at the storytelling and documenting of whatever it is, they can make anything super awesome content that they document, no matter what it is that they do. So that's really exciting, and I look forward to all of the stuff that she's making and will make.
Yeah, thank you. And I am absolutely positive that as soon as she kind of gets into the YouTube for real, once she has time for it, she's going to just explode. Because like you were saying, her storytelling is amazing. Her skills are amazing when it comes to filmmaking. And it's great because I'm learning from her. So every time I see her stuff, I kind of, say, hey, teach me to do this so that I can do it too. So.
That's awesome.
So out of all of the projects that you do have, are there any that, I mean, you had mentioned that the planting box one was a lot of fun, but it necessarily wasn't the best in terms of sales numbers. But what are some of your favorite projects that you've had, regardless of how it's performed, that are just like your personal favorites?
Yeah, I think it's always when I end up making something for someone else. That's often my inspiration as well. If I have a friend or something that we've gone to visit, I try to make them like a little present. And one project that I made, which wasn't necessarily a very good YouTube video, but that I really enjoyed the product of, I made this wine box. And is essentially like a wine cork holder. So every time you drink a bottle of wine, you put the cork into this box. And I used the CNC, and I did like an inlay on the back side of the box. So it had they have a wine company, so I put their logo in there. And then on the front with my acrylic and with my laser, I kind of engraved different levels. So it kind of goes from intermediate to expert. So depending on how many little caps you put in there, as it fills out, you become an expert in drinking, obviously. But it was just, right? Yeah. And I think it's because I love making boxes. I do them occasionally. I don't necessarily always film it when I do, but there's something about making a box, right? And as your skills increase, it's just, I feel like it's one of the easiest way to see if you're progressing, because, getting a perfect mitered corner, it's freaking hard, right? Like you got to do a lot of things to get that perfect. And people think about that when they see these boxes. But when you become really good at box making, I think it really shows you that you have the skills to apply this to anything else, whether that's furniture or, whatever you want to do. So that's one project that I've really enjoyed making, because they loved it when they received it. And I just had a lot of fun with kind of incorporating both the box techniques and also just the fun elements, and using basically all tools in my shop in order to make this. But yeah, I would say my list is long of projects that I like making. More recently, I also made this, it was an egg holder, actually. It was for a challenge. There was some sort of a maker challenge on Instagram that I participated in. And I ended up doing this chicken that was, it's a board and it holds eggs in it, but it looks like a chicken. So when all the eggs are in, it looks kind of like there's eggs inside the belly of the chicken. And I did it out of 2 different types of wood. So I did it out of white oak and purple heart. So the 2 different contrasting colors just made it look really cool as well. So that's also kind of one project that I had a lot of fun, both designing and also making. I can't necessarily say that it's something that would sell really well if I try to sell it, but I think sometimes just when you get to really design it and take it to completion and it's a little bit unique, that just ends up meaning a lot more to you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because I know that one project that I did with my son, I've mentioned it a couple of times, was he started doing... it's just this little 4-H program that's for BB gun shooting for competitively. And so what they do is you got to have a tray for all of your little BBs. And so like everyone kind of like, a lot of people just take a random piece of wood and just use a Forstner bit and drill kind of spots for those to sit in. And so what I had done for him was I took a piece of walnut that I had that had a nice little bit of sapwood on there. I did put in the drill pieces, but I also laser engraved his name on it to kind of have that personal feel to it. And so it was like a super fast, like all said and done, maybe like a 30-minute project, but it was so much fun and the end result was wonderful. And so we still use it. And so sometimes those small projects can be just loads of fun.
The satisfaction. It's great.
Good news, everyone!
Well, maker news this week. I don't have any. Alex, do you have any?
Oh, I feel like I should have some, but I can't think of anything off the top of my head. So, no, is my long answer. A short answer to a long, drawn-out explanation.
All right. Well, Winnie, thank you so much for being part of the show today.
Thank you for having me. This was fun.
Yeah. How can people find you?
They can find me on my YouTube channel called Standish WoodStory. They can also find me on my website, which is www.standishwoodstory, or they can find me on my Instagram account, also named Standish WoodStory.
Consistency, love it.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. And remember,
In case I don't see ya, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
good night, everybody.
Night, night.